Hey everyone, welcome back to the Power of the W. In today's episode, we're joined by one of our own teammates, Edwin Salazar. He leads our youth program, The Place to Be. Edwin shares what it truly means to empower the next generation. He reflects on the personal experiences that shaped his journey and the powerful lessons he's learned from the young people we serve. The environment and sense of belonging he's built with teens is something truly special. In this conversation, we dive into the heart behind The Place to Be, challenge those common misconceptions about today's youth, and explore how communities can better support young people in finding their voices and chasing their passions. Plus, we've got some really exciting news to share, so let's get into it. Welcome to the Power of the W podcast, a space where we inspire, educate, and celebrate the incredible strength and resilience of women from all walks of life. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories, experiences, and insights of amazing women who are making their mark in the world. From personal development and career success to health, wellness, and entrepreneurship and beyond, we're here to uplift, empower, and fuel your journey to greatness. So get ready to embrace the power of the W. Edwin, thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me and letting me be a part of this.
Is this your first podcast?
It is. It is my very first one.
Well, I'm glad that you are joining us. It was funny because obviously the Power of the W, we have a lot of women on the show, and you were like, can I even be on it?
Right.
So, yeah, I just felt like you would be really great to talk to, especially when we're talking about youth empowerment. So thanks for joining us. Before we get into it, I just want to give Allen's House a real quick shout out. Allen's House is our new youth group home. And by the time this podcast airs, it will have opened and we will welcome our very first residents. It's been a long time coming. We had Nicole Sodawasser, who is the administrator for Allen's House. She was on our podcast a few episodes back, so if anyone wants to listen to that, they can go back and listen to her interview. But for you, Edwin, you work with youth every single day, so how excited are you that we have a resource like this in the community?
Oh, yeah, I'm very excited. You know, honestly, this is something that we've needed for a very, very long time. I remember listening to the podcast that Nicole was on, and it's just what she talked about, you know, the barriers that they have had to overcome, and you know it's very excited to hear it. You know, I know that the nearest group home for youth is not for like 90 miles Iowa, and like the nearest one in Illinois is like Rockford. You know, so it's well needed, you know, for our youth that are dealing with a lot of unhoused, couch surfing, and so I'm just very excited overall.
Yeah, it's definitely needed. So you are the Director of Youth Engagement and Development for The Place to Be, which is a program through the YWCA. And we'll talk about The Place to Be and all of its amazingness later. But you've been with us 3 years.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how did you get to where you are, to where you're working with youth?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up in the Quad Cities. So I know that a lot of the things that we do, and I'll talk about The Place to Be later, but really just my journey, I graduated from Moline High School. From there, I went to Lakin College where I received my associates. Went to McHenry University where I received my bachelor's, did a lot of my collegiate soccer there, and did a couple courses of my master's there as well.
What did you go to school for?
I graduated in sociology, so I did
okay.
a lot of sociology stuff, and then I minored in criminal justice as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I started my first, job in my career working for nonprofits in 2017 as a family advocate. Always throughout my journey, it always been focusing on families that are needing that extra support, that bridge to overcome barriers and things like that. So I knew from my first day at my first job, I knew that me wanting to work with somebody to overcome obstacles was something that I know I was going to enjoy to do. So
yeah. So fast forward to 3 years ago, like how did you come across this position at the place to be?
Yeah, I mean, I was working at Rosecrans prior to the YWCA, and there I was focusing a lot of working with individuals that are fighting that disease of addiction, right? Um, and one of the things that always stuck with me working with all the individuals was that they all mentioned that when I was a kid, this and that, like during my youth age, my adolescent years. So it it always kept reminding me like working with youth is something that I've always been passionate about, and there was just times where I kind of just forgot what my passion was, but then I was honestly I was one day I was laying down and then my phone just vibrated and it was Indeed that hit me with YWCA is looking for an assistant youth director, and I'm like, oh, okay, like the word youth obviously got my attention,
Yeah.
so I clicked it, read the description, and it was literally something that I've been looking for, honestly the whole time that I've been, so I applied, and within a couple of days later, I received an email.
Awesome. And the rest is history. Now you've been with us for 3 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know you and I know that you love helping people out. So were there key experiences in your own youth that shaped your passion for working with young people?
Yeah, definitely. I think just a lot of, always on survival mode. Growing up, I know the biggest, um, I guess, experience that I went through was when, and this is something that I don't really share with everybody, but I mean, I guess people that hear it is gonna know, my story and stuff. But, I was about 14 years old when my father ended up getting deported, and that really put my mom in a position of, a mother of 6 kids, like nobody's prepared for that type of life, and seeing her going through everything that she went through, seeing her work ethics, making ends meet, having her like just seeing her stressed out when the how she gonna pay this next bill, how is she gonna pay for the rent, like every year we moved, so it's like where are we staying at this time, like we deal with a lot of like food insecurity and a lot of not sure if we're gonna be in this house the next day and things like that, so definitely a lot of what are not all but some of our students are going through things like that for sure.
And I think like your perspective is so valuable because you can relate, So I guess my question is, how did some of those challenges influence your leadership style today?
Yeah, just understanding that going through things alone is very difficult, So I remember I was about a junior in high school where I honestly felt that support from a teacher, her name is, to this day, I always, pray for her, and her name is Miss P. She and even my friend's grandma, Miss Don, them two like really looked out for me. They would do a lot for me that I can never, think them in words. They just saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and were so consistent, and were always ensuring me that I had something to give to the world. And again, like I didn't believe it, I was very stubborn, and I was still wanting to make the decisions that I thought were the right decisions at the time.
Yeah. How do you define youth empowerment, and why do you think it's so important in today's world?
Yeah, I think it's youth empowerment. It's just we got to be careful with that. We're not wanting to enable our youth. We want to provide the tools and the spaces that they need to achieve those goals that they may have, right? But sometimes they don't even know what goals that they have unless we have those conversations. So sometimes starting a simple conversation can influence a goal that they didn't know that they had. So that's empowerment right there. Just brainstorming and, like I mentioned, providing those tools. And I just think it's so important because our youth now sometimes don't know what they have to offer. But the second you provide an opportunity for their voice to be heard, you're gonna be amazed of what what they actually view the world, their perspectives, and their experiences, even though they're young. Like some of these students, these youth, probably been through a lot more than some adults we know.
Yeah. I am always like amazed whenever I spend time with the students at the place to be, because like hearing their perspectives is so refreshing, and it also like makes me think from a different perspective. Like,
Right.
oh, I didn't think about that. What are some common misconceptions adults have about young people? I know you hear them, so
Yeah.
what are they?
No, definitely. I think it's a lot of, that they're, um, that they're like lost, or they don't know what they want in the world, or that they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I can't even think of the word right now. But it's more of like these adults think that the youth expect something like already, maybe like privilege in some ways, but in reality, they're not. It's one of the biggest thing is that adults automatically expect our youth to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, like you already lost the youth if you already demand your respect. And so if a student is not going to respect you, then it's more than likely that they felt disrespected from you in the beginning. So I think that's the I don't know if that answers your question.
No, yeah. I mean, kind of talk about that a little bit more, because we do hear that. Well, they need to respect me.
Right.
But do you think it's one of those things that, like, in order to get it, you have to give it?
For sure.
And they can pick up on if they're feeling welcomed or not. Like, do you think it's all about how we approach them?
Yeah, definitely. I think if we have youth and we have adults in the room, I believe that the adults should be the ones who start the conversations. But it has to be like that has to be the most respectful approach that you have, because
Your tone and
yes,
yeah.
your tone and your demeanor and your intentions, like our youth are smart, and like you mentioned, like they do read off of it, and they'll read through you. So if you come in disrespectful, like more than likely their reaction is gonna be what you just delivered, But in reality, the adult is gonna be the one takes it more personally than the youth,
Yeah.
So that's definitely report. Yeah.
This kind of goes into my next question, but how can communities better support youth in finding their voices and pursuing their passion?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like just pouring into our youth, providing spaces that providing spaces for our youth, making it feel like they're a part of those ideas, those plans, those decisions, inviting them to the tables, inviting them to events, or even purposely creating events that are specifically for our youth. That's what I feel like our community has been doing such an amazing job, and I think that's something that we should continue to strive to do.
So let's talk about the place to be.
Yeah.
Tell us what the place to be is. I always like to say it's the place to be,
Right.
but tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if we have that much time to.
Might have to be a few episodes, right?
Right. No, but I mean, the place to be really, it's a space where we have created for our youth, for all youth in the community, to feel welcomed, to feel like they belong, to feel like they can be challenged. We really focus on empowerment. And like I mentioned earlier, is providing those tools and those spaces for them to grow, to reach those goals. We provide a lot of mentorships. We have 14 mentors now. Every single one of them bring in different strains and perspectives and life experiences that make our program so much more diverse and represents every single one of our youth. And the place to be wouldn't be the place to be what it is now if it wasn't for our mentors. And if it wasn't for our youth, the youth that speak up, the youth that consider themselves leaders now, you see them now trying to mentor our new students, and it's just amazing to see. We do a lot of recreational activities. We do basketball, soccer, we dance, we do volleyball, like anything that you can think of. We do a lot of the educational aspects as well, on ensuring that they're focusing on their grades, that if they need homework help, we're providing that assistance. If they need certain assistance for certain subjects, then we'll make sure we can bring in different tutors and things like that. We do a lot of field trips, a lot of college tours, a lot of manufacturing tours. Anything that our students want to do, we try our best to bring it. So it's really a space for them at the end of the day.
And I might be a little biased because I work for the YWCA, but I truly feel the place to be is different compared to any other program there is because of the environment that you have created. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat is this isn't a program where they come in and we tell them this is what you're gonna do. You listen to them, you ask them what do you want, and that is how the program is shaped. Which I think is really amazing. So, talk about that, how important that is for you to listen to their input, to give them that voice.
Absolutely. No, definitely. I think, we know all youth, or even every individual, we learn differently. We have different interests, we have different beliefs and things like that. So I just felt like one of my biggest intentions was to create multiple options throughout the night for them to choose what they want to do that night. Because they already come back from school, 8 hours a day, already being told what to do, and sometimes they don't get the opportunity to be creative or even show their personnel in certain things that they have to do. So being able to provide a space for them where they can come in, have options, and choose what activity they want to do that day, and to be able to think outside the box. And we just give them tools. This is what we're doing today. Let their creativity come to life. We have so many different support and partnerships and programmings now that every single day we have something for the students that come in that day.
I know that there's probably quite a few program or initiatives that you're particularly proud of, but can we talk about the Girls Club?
Yeah.
Because that's a newer one, and I think it's pretty special what you guys have created. So can you tell us a little bit about the Girls Club?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, that's probably my top two of the things that we do at the Place to Be is the Girls Club. For sure. It was we noticed that every day, girls were coming in, but we'd always have more boys than girls, and then we just kept asking the girls, hey, how come you think that the girls are not coming today, and they kept telling me the same thing. It's because the activities that we're doing are more for focusing on the guys and, things like that. And I was okay, that makes sense, and we kept seeing it where our girls kept finding a little space. If it was in an empowerment center or in a party room or even in the boardroom, they'll just go there and hang out, do their own thing. So one of our mentors, Kiki, her and I, we just started exploring our options, and that's where the Girls Club, was created. Kiki took full initiative on creating, a curriculum or even activities and things like that. And then we also, took the input of our girls. This is what they want to do, from doing arts and crafts to doing a lot of mental health and wellness to doing, trail walks, field trips, to bringing in certain speakers and even movie nights and things like that. So now our activities that we do is every Tuesday we meet for a Girls Club, and every last Tuesday of the month we only have Girls Club. So it was just, providing an opportunity for our students to speak and let them know what they want to see out of it and what they want. And then that's where we have Girls Club.
Speaking of field trips, so over the weekend, you guys took them to Chicago in honor of Women's History Month. So they did activities related around that. And I got to go to document it.
Absolutely.
And I could just tell, the sisterhood. They all, really got along. And, talking with the girls, they were we all lift each other up. We all have each other's backs. I talked to one student she talked about how, she had a hard time making friends with girls. She's kind of an introvert, and she has a hard time talking to people. And this has really, given her the confidence to make friendships.
Yeah.
So I just think that's, amazing. And I know that's probably, one of the goals you guys wanted to get out of this was that bond.
Yeah, it is, and it continues to be. Is again, it's just that sense of belonging. We can tell our students all day that yeah, you belong. This is a space for you. But if they don't feel it, then they're not gonna believe it. But being able to hear them out and have those one-on-one conversations, of course, as well. You get to know them, and then you get to know what exactly we need to create for them. So then it's a space for everybody, and not just being focused on just one individual.
What do you think are some of the biggest challenges young people face today, and how do you help navigate them through those?
Yeah. I definitely think it's that pressure. It's that pressure of them feel like that they are expected to know everything or know what to do or know how to do certain things. And I say by the conversations that I have with our students, it's that pressure of not of feeling like, oh, I already should know what I want to do when I grow up, or I already should know what to do in this situation and things like that. And that's why I just feel like that it has to do a lot with that pressure, and then you see a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression, just a lot of like when it comes to mental health. So that's again, I wouldn't have known this if I weren't having conversations with them.
Yeah. I also think, going back to like all the misconceptions and people like to say, I feel like every generation says that about youth. Well, like, youth today, they do this, blah, 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 blah. But I was having a conversation and I'm like, I would not want to be a teen right now. Right. Because I think about like even the social media aspect. Mm-hmm. That wasn't really like a part of my life. Yeah. And like, there's just so much that they have to deal with today. Yeah. And I don't think people always necessarily think about everything that they have to deal with.
For sure. No, for sure. You're spot on, and again, you won't know unless you have a conversation with them, and a lot of people already, put our youth in a category that takes that opportunity to get to know them. Our students, our youth are very misunderstood, underestimated, and I just really, man, like I really just think having a conversation with the kid that you feel like, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I feel like instead of having those biases, stereotypes, or even those microaggressions, things like get to know that youth that you talk about, get to know that kid under the ski mask, under that hoodie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You talked about this a little bit, but like, how do you balance guidance with allowing youth the freedom to make their own decisions?
Yeah, that's
is that like something every day that you struggle with, or yeah. I would think that would be hard.
It is, but it's again, like, and I will continue to say this, is inviting them into that table where the decisions are making, where you see them wanting to create or wanting to come up with the choices or the options that we have and things like that. Like, it's amazing to see when you invite them, because we currently have a youth advisory board where it's about our youth that see themselves, or we sometimes handpick them, letting them know like you have like leadership potential, or that they know that they want to be a part of this leadership potential. So being able to invite them in a space surrounded and supported by our community leaders in the same space, like you see them like absorbing. They're very absorbent, and then you see once they build that confident enough to speak, and it's always usually something like impactful, So
yeah. So okay, looking back, is there any advice you would give to your younger self?
To my younger self?
Yeah. What would you tell younger Edwin?
Younger Edwin. I don't know. I feel like I would just, tell him to, keep his head high, and that everything that he's going through, or everything that he is gonna go through, it's not gonna it doesn't define the person that he is, or the person that he's gonna be, or it's just helping him become the person that he's striving to be, And to this day, it's the experiences, my life experiences, the good and the bad, are helping me become the person that wanting to be.
What keeps you motivated when the work feels challenging? I know, like, with social work, they always talk about compassion fatigue, or, I always say I couldn't do what you do, because you do hear a lot of tough things.
For sure.
So, like, how does that keep you motivated?
Yeah. Just knowing that I was once in their shoes, and having that adult that believed in me and that pushed me and challenged me. It doesn't make it the things that they're going through easier, but it's nice to know that you have people in your corner, and it's nice to know that you have support, and it's nice when our students, when they start thanking us, on being consistent, and showing on taking them to their interviews or to their jobs, or picking them up from school, from home, and like the little things that we think are little, like are they're huge for them, and then just seeing how like their day flipped just by those little things, it's what keeps me motivated, and it reminds me why I want to be that adult that I wish my friends and I had growing up too.
Yeah. You talked about it, but like having a mentor plays a huge role in youth development.
Absolutely. Again, like mentors challenge us, and the only way we can grow at times is to be challenged, and to be uncomfortable. And that's something that we are wanting to do, but at the same time we're careful, because we got to build that relationship with our youth. We got to rebuild that rapport and that trust before we're even at the point of challenging them too.
Yeah. How do you envision the next generation making the world better?
I think maybe like continuing, mentorship programs, by remembering their experiences, and knowing that the next generation is probably going to go through some hard times too, but just making sure that I want to be there for that next generation. Because right now we talk about this generation, this next generation, but right now we're that generation up right now. So I feel like it's our responsibility to make sure that the next generation up has those tools to be successful, to mentor the next generation after them.
If you could share one message directly to young people listening, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say, don't give up, and try new things, and try different things, and things that you feel like might be different or might make you feel, I guess, uncool or something. Like, try it. Like, you won't know if it's for you unless you try it. And I just feel like, just expose yourself to different opportunities. You never know, you could be the one that breaks the cycle,
So for any parents, guardians, or even like youth who are listening, the place to be, it's Monday through Friday. We pick them up, we bring them back, we provide a meal, we take them home. If anyone is interested in joining, like, how should they get a hold of you if they want to join the place to be?
Yeah, just give us a call. I don't know the number by the top of my head, but obviously you can find it on our website.
Yep.
Or even make a referral. We got a submission form that you can create. I know Jenna probably talks about that all the time. But just be want to get engaged. And we're always looking for volunteers to come in and share a cool skill. It could be sewing, it could be crochet, it could be a sport, it could be anything that you feel like it's a life skill, it's worth learning. Like, our kids are always interested in learning new things every day.
Or you think about, even like, we have a lot of churches or organizations who will come in and bring a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just spend some time with them.
Yeah.
Like, get to know the people in your community who are our future leaders.
Absolutely. Get to know them. That's key. Get to know them, build that relationship, and being consistent.
Yeah. Well, Edwin, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for everything you do, especially for our youth. If anyone is interested in joining the place to be, contact Edwin.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenna.
Thanks for listening to the Power of the W podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. For more updates, follow us on social media or visit our website at www.ywcaqc.org. We'll catch you next time right here on The Power of the W.